You're born in the bone marrow, a cramped factory deep inside your skeleton, where millions of workers just like you get manufactured every single day. You don't get a choice in this career path. No job applications, no interviews, no dreams of becoming something else. You're built for one purpose and one purpose only: hauling oxygen around a body that never stops demanding more. Your first breath of existence happens in a production line that would make Henry Ford weep with envy. Stem cells transform into you through a process so violent it makes boot camp look like summer vacation. Your nucleus gets ripped out, your organelles stripped away, leaving you nothing but a flexible bag of hemoglobin. You're not even a complete cell anymore. You're a delivery truck with no driver, programmed to run the same route for the next 120 days until you drop dead from exhaustion. Your training begins immediately. No orientation, no welcome packet, just raw instinct telling you to grab oxygen molecules and never let go. The bone marrow spits you out into the bloodstream like a bullet from a gun. The first thing that hits you is the speed. Blood moves fast, faster than you ever imagined. You're swept into a current that flows at 3 miles per hour, which might not sound like much until you realize you're microscopic, and this feels like being shot through a fire hose. The pressure nearly crushes your flexible membrane as you tumble through arteries thick as garden hoses. Your first destination is the lungs, and it's nothing like the peaceful breathing exercises you might imagine. The alveoli are war zones where carbon dioxide and oxygen battle for space on your hemoglobin. You slam into lung tissue, your membrane stretching as 4 oxygen molecules latch onto you like desperate hitchhikers. The carbon dioxide you're carrying gets ripped away, exhaled into the atmosphere while you load up with fresh oxygen. It's violent, chaotic, and happens in milliseconds. You don't get time to adjust before you're yanked back into circulation, now carrying precious cargo that every cell in the body is screaming for. The heart hits you like a freight train. 4 chambers of pure muscular fury that squeeze and release with enough force to launch you through 70,000 miles of blood vessels. The lub-dub rhythm becomes your heartbeat, literally. Each contraction shoots you forward with G-forces that would kill a fighter pilot. Your flexible membrane is the only thing keeping you from exploding under pressure. Left ventricle, aorta, then you're racing through arteries that branch into smaller and smaller pathways like a highway system, designed by someone having a nervous breakdown. By the time you reach the capillaries, you're in single-file traffic. These vessels are so narrow you have to squeeze through like toothpaste being forced from a tube. Your membrane deforms, twists, bends into shapes that shouldn't be possible. But this is where the magic happens. Oxygen-starved cells press against capillary walls like starving prisoners begging for food. You release your oxygen cargo through the vessel walls, watching it disappear into tissues that need it to survive. Brain cells, muscle cells, skin cells, all of them dependent on your delivery service. But you don't get to rest. As soon as you dump your oxygen, carbon dioxide waste products jump onto your hemoglobin like toxic passengers demanding a ride back to the lungs. You're now a garbage truck, hauling cellular waste through the venous system. The return trip is slower, more crowded, like rush hour traffic in hell. Veins are packed with red blood cells all carrying the same poisonous cargo back to the lungs for disposal. Your route takes you through organs that treat you like a highway. The liver filters toxins from your plasma neighbors while you speed past. The kidneys grab waste products from your bloodstream like customs agents searching for contraband. The spleen eyes you suspiciously looking for signs of damage or age that would mark you for destruction. You're not just a delivery service anymore. You're under constant surveillance in a body that has zero tolerance for inefficiency. Days blur into weeks. The same route over and over. Lungs to tissues, tissues back to lungs. Your membrane starts showing wear from constant deformation through tight capillaries. Your hemoglobin begins losing efficiency. But the body doesn't care about your fatigue. Cells keep demanding oxygen. The heart keeps pumping. The bloodstream keeps flowing. You're trapped in a career you never chose, carrying cargo you can't refuse, on a schedule that never stops. The worst part? You're surrounded by millions of other red blood cells doing the exact same job, but you can't communicate with them. No small talk, no complaints about working conditions, no solidarity. You're alone in a crowd, a microscopic wage slave in the body's industrial complex. Month 2 hits like a brick wall. Your membrane is getting softer, more fragile from constant squeezing through capillaries that feel like medieval torture devices. Every trip through the spleen becomes a death sentence waiting to happen. Those immune system guards examine you with the intensity of airport security, looking for any sign of weakness that would justify scrapping you for parts. Your hemoglobin is starting to leak efficiency like a rusted bucket. Oxygen molecules slip off during transport, wasted cargo floating away while cells downstream gasp for air you can't deliver. The brain runs you ragged. Neurons are oxygen addicts worse than any junkie, burning through 20% of your cargo despite being only 2% of body weight. You race through cerebral arteries like a drug dealer making deliveries to desperate customers. Miss a delivery and brain cells start dying within minutes. The pressure is insane. One stroke, one clot, one traffic jam in the bloodstream, and you're watching gray matter turn black from oxygen starvation. Muscle tissue during exercise becomes your personal hell. Heart rate doubles, blood flow triples, and suddenly you're expected to work overtime with no extra pay. Lactic acid burns through the plasma around you like battery acid. Your fellow red blood cells start dropping from exhaustion, their membranes finally giving out under the strain. The spleen picks them off like a sniper, recycling their iron while you keep running the same impossible route. You develop a grudge against white blood cells. These pampered security guards float around like they own the place, expanding to 10 times your size when they encounter threats. They push you aside in capillaries, hog space, and arteries, and act like the bloodstream exists for their convenience. Meanwhile, you're the one keeping every cell alive with oxygen deliveries, while they get all the credit for fighting infections. The kidneys become your least favorite stop. Those filtering units grab everything from your plasma neighbors, leaving you in a chemical soup that changes composition every few seconds. Blood pressure spikes and drops like a roller coaster designed by sadists. Your membrane stretches and compresses so violently you start developing stress fractures that won't heal. By month 3, you're falling apart. Your once flexible membrane is rigid, cracked, leaking hemoglobin into the plasma like a broken tanker truck. Oxygen molecules won't stick properly anymore. Carbon dioxide builds up in your cytoplasm because you can't dump it fast enough. The spleen's immune cells circle you like vultures, waiting for the right moment to declare you unfit for service. You try to avoid the spleen's filtering stations, taking longer routes through peripheral circulation. But the body's traffic control system forces you back into main arteries, where those macrophages wait with hungry expressions. They've marked you for termination, and there's nowhere to hide in a closed circulatory system. Your last few trips are agony. Hemoglobin molecules fall apart like cheap furniture. Your membrane develops holes that let precious oxygen escape before reaching its destination. Cells you've faithfully served for months start rejecting your deliveries because your cargo is contaminated with cellular debris. The end comes in the spleen's red pulp, where macrophages finally catch up with your deteriorating corpse. They engulf you like acid-dissolving metal, breaking down your components for recycling. Your iron gets salvaged for new red blood cells. Your membrane becomes raw material for other cellular projects. Nothing goes to waste in this biological economy. But here's the twist that makes your death meaningless. The bone marrow has already replaced you 10 times over. Millions of fresh red blood cells are starting their own 120-day death sentences, carrying oxygen through the same routes that killed you. The bloodstream doesn't miss you for even a heartbeat. Your replacement is already squeezing through capillaries, hauling cargo, getting ground down by the same system that destroyed you. You lived and died as a disposable part in a machine that never stops, never rests, never acknowledges your sacrifice. Just another microscopic casualty in the body's endless war against entropy. So there you have it. Your life as a red blood cell, 120 days of pure biological slavery that ends with you getting dissolved by the very system you died serving. No pension, no retirement party, no memorial service. Just recycled parts feeding the machine that ground you into cellular dust. You never got to choose your fate, never had a moment of rest, never experienced anything beyond the endless cycle of pickup and delivery until your membrane finally cracked under pressure. But here's the kicker that makes your microscopic existence both tragic and incredible. While you were suffering through capillary traffic jams and organ surveillance, you were literally keeping consciousness alive. Every thought, every heartbeat, every breath depended on your oxygen deliveries. You were the unsung hero in a story where nobody remembers your name, carrying life itself through vessels so small they'd make a human hair look like a subway tunnel. Your death means nothing to the bloodstream, but everything to biology. You're proof that life runs on the sacrifice of the smallest parts, that survival demands workers willing to die for a cause they'll never understand. Right now, millions of your replacements are starting the same doomed journey, hauling the same cargo, facing the same fate. The cycle never breaks, the factory never closes, and somewhere in your bone marrow, another red blood cell just got manufactured for a job that will definitely kill them. Welcome to biology, where even your blood cells live paycheck to paycheck until they drop dead from exhaustion.